All right, so, uh, everyone's talking about Elon Musk and all his political moves lately.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
It really is. And we got this article that digs into like all the details of how deep he is in this whole transition with Trump.
It's certainly not your typical advisor role.
No, not at all. Like
What?
the article talks about how he basically stopped that whole congressional budget bill in its tracks.
Yeah, and even some Republicans were saying he's acting more like a prime
A
minister.
prime minister. Wow, that's intense.
Yeah, and get this. The Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, he confirmed that he was actually on the phone with both Trump and Musk.
Oh, wow. So they were like all in this together.
Yeah, during the whole renegotiation of the bill. So it's not just like giving advice from afar, you know,
He's like right in the middle of it all.
right in the thick of it.
Crazy. It
Yeah.
makes you wonder what their relationship is really like. I mean,
Right.
Musk was like one of the first people to support Trump.
Oh, yeah, from the very beginning.
And he even gave a ton of money to that pro-Trump PAC.
Exactly. A PAC is basically a group. Oh, right. A political action committee.
Right. They pool money from people and companies to support certain candidates.
Okay. Yeah, so how much did Musk give?
Well, to this particular PAC, it was something like $200 million.
200 million. Jeez. That's not just like dipping his toes in the water.
No, that's like a full-on cannonball.
That shows some serious commitment.
Definitely. And then there's this whole thing about him leading the Department of Government Efficiency.
Wait, DOGE. Like the meme.
Yep. Apparently so, but it's not really clear what it would even do.
Or like how much power it would have.
It's all very mysterious.
So is this a real thing or just like some kind of PR stunt?
It's hard to say. It could be a genuine attempt to like streamline the government,
Right.
or it could just be playing on his whole tech image.
Yeah, and that whole DOGE meme is still pretty popular.
For sure.
Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens there.
Yeah, keep an eye on it.
Okay, so let's go back to this whole budget battle for a second,
Mm.
because that's when things got really heated.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So we had this bipartisan bill. Everyone was on board,
Seemed like it.
but then Trump comes out against it.
Specifically, the part about raising the debt ceiling.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, so can you remind us what the debt ceiling is? And why is it such a big deal?
Sure. So basically, it's a limit set by Congress on how much money the U.S. government can borrow.
Okay.
And when we hit that limit, it means the government can't borrow any more money to pay its bills,
Uh-oh.
which could lead to like delayed payments, to government employees, contractors, even Social Security recipients.
Wow, so like the government could shut down.
It could get pretty messy.
Yikes.
Oh.
Okay, so that's why it's such a big deal.
Exactly.
And then Musk jumps right into this mess.
At first.
He goes on X, it used to be Twitter,
Right.
criticizing the bill
Yeah.
and even threatening to support people running against anyone who voted for it.
Yeah, like in the primaries.
Right, primary challengers.
Basically saying he'd fund campaigns to get those who disagreed with him out of office.
That's some serious power right there.
It's a bold move.
And it kind of worked, didn't it?
Well, a revised bill did get passed, but without some of the things Trump and Musk didn't like.
But they didn't actually raise the debt ceiling.
No, that's still up in the air.
So is Musk like some kind of concerned citizen hero here? Or is he using all his money and power to get his way?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? You've got Republican Representative Rich McCormick basically saying that Musk is putting the pressure on lawmakers to do what he wants, even comparing him to a lobbyist.
Oh, wow.
And then some Democrats are worried that he's using all this to help his own businesses.
Right, because they took out that part that could have affected his companies in China.
Exactly.
So it's like some people think he's just trying to do what's best for the country.
And others think he's just looking out for himself.
It's hard to know what to think.
It's a complicated situation for sure.
Well, it sounds like this budget bill fight was just the beginning of Musk's political adventures.
Oh, yeah, just the tip of the iceberg.
Because it goes way beyond just stuff here in the U.S.
It's global.
Like, he's been on calls between Trump and Zelensky, attending meetings with Macron and Maloney.
It's everywhere.
It's almost like he's becoming this, like, unofficial diplomat or something.
That's where things start to get really interesting.
Okay, yeah, I'm intrigued. Let's get into that.
All right, let's dive in.
Yeah, it's like he's got his own little foreign policy thing going on.
Right, and that's what's kind of scary.
Totally. Because, like, who knows what he's saying to these world leaders?
Exactly. We're used to diplomacy, going through the proper channels
Right.
with, like, elected officials and diplomats representing the U.S.
Yeah.
But Musk, he's, like, doing his own thing.
Totally. It's not like we voted for him, right?
Nope. He answers to his shareholders, not to us or Congress.
Exactly.
Right.
So, like, where's the accountability?
That's a big problem. With traditional diplomacy, there are, like, checks and balances.
Oh, yeah. To make sure things are done the right way.
Right. But with Musk, it's like a mystery.
Okay, so like let's say he's on that call with Trump and Zelensky.
Right. A super tense situation.
What if his own opinions or like his business interests get in the way of what the U.S. is trying to do?
It could definitely happen.
He could totally mess up the whole thing without even realizing it.
Even if he means well, diplomacy is all about being careful.
Yeah, you gotta say the right things.
Exactly. And Musk doesn't really have that kind of training.
Not to mention how this looks to other countries.
Right. Do they see him as like a real representative of the U.S.?
Or just some rich guy messing around in global politics.
It's not a good look.
Not at all. It makes the U.S. seem unreliable.
It's like trying to make a deal when you don't know who's actually in charge.
Yeah, exactly. And we're not just talking about like awkward conversations here.
Right. This is serious stuff.
This is about space exploration, artificial intelligence, even social media.
Huge industries.
So if he's out there making moves, it could affect all of us.
Imagine if he decides to like partner with Russia on some space project.
Without even telling the U.S. government.
Yeah. Or what if he pushes some AI technology that gives another country an advantage?
Okay, now I'm getting really nervous. This is like something out of a movie.
It's a lot to think about.
So what can we even do about this? Is there any way to like control this kind of power?
Well, it's tough, but we got to start somewhere.
Okay.
First, we need some clear boundaries between Musk's businesses and his dealings with foreign governments.
Like a separation so there's no conflict of interest.
Exactly. We need to make sure his actions aren't going against official U.S. policy.
Right. So we can't just let him do whatever he wants on the world stage.
Definitely not. And we need way more transparency.
Like what's he actually doing and saying in these meetings?
Exactly. Congress needs to step up and do their job.
Investigate whole hearings, all that.
Right. The public deserves to know what's going on, especially if it affects our security.
Totally. More transparency, more accountability.
That's what we need.
Sounds in theory, but I bet Musk won't like it.
Oh, he'll fight back for sure. But this isn't just about him.
What do you mean?
He's just one example of a bigger trend.
Like what?
Tech billionaires getting more and more involved in global affairs.
Oh, yeah, like Zuckerberg and Bezos.
Exactly. They've got money, global reach, and their industries affect international relations.
So it's like a whole new type of power player.
Exactly. Not elected officials, not representing any country.
But they can still have a huge impact.
It's kind of scary, but also fascinating.
Yeah, for sure. This is a crazy time in history.
And we need to figure out how to deal with it.
Like, how do we make sure these guys are acting responsibly?
And how do we protect our democracy when so much power is in the hands of a few people?
Wow. Those are some big questions.
Big questions with no easy answers.
Well, I think this whole deep dive into Musk's political stuff is a good place to start.
Definitely helps us understand what's happening and what we're up against.
Right, because the choices we make now will affect things for a long time.
Absolutely. We're in uncharted territory and we need to be prepared.
I agree. So let's keep digging into this.
Okay, let's do it. This is like uncharted territory, right? We talked about how Musk could mess up U.S. foreign policy.
Yeah. But what about like the whole world? Like one guy having this much power is kind of crazy.
It's like a sci-fi movie coming to life.
Right. And like you said, the choices we make now will have a huge impact later.
Totally. So how do we even start to deal with this? Like, how do we make sure these tech guys are accountable?
That's the big question. We need like some kind of framework, right? For accountability, for transparency.
Yeah, like some rules of the game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Imagine if Musk is trying to broker some big climate deal between the U.S. and China.
Okay.
But a lot of his business is tied up in China.
Oh, it's no good.
So can he really be impartial?
No way. He could be like tilting the scale without even meaning to.
Or maybe he means to. Who knows? That's the problem.
We need to know what's going on behind the scenes.
Transparency is key.
Totally. And what about Congress? Don't they have a role here?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
They need to step up and start asking some tough questions.
Yeah, like investigate what Musk is doing.
Make sure he's not doing stuff against the U.S.
Or against the whole world.
Right. Has anything like this ever happened before? I mean, rich people has always been involved in politics.
Yeah, but this feels different.
Like Musk's money, his companies, the way technology is changing everything.
It's moving so fast.
Totally.
Yeah.
So are there any lessons we can learn from history?
Maybe. Think about those huge corporations in the 20th century.
Okay.
They got super powerful and they were all over the world with basically no rules.
Right.
And it took a long time to get some control over them.
So maybe we need to do something similar with these tech guys.
Yeah, like a global effort to set some rules.
Make sure they're playing fair.
Exactly. It wouldn't be easy, but it's important.
Otherwise, we're headed for a future where a few people are making all the decisions.
And that's not a future I want to live in.
Me neither. So we need to start talking about this now.
Right now, before it's too late.
Think about like conflict of interest rules, transparency requirements.
Maybe even some international organization to keep an eye on things.
Yeah, it's a lot, but we got to figure it out.
The stakes are high.
Well, you've given me a lot to think about. This whole Musk situation is pretty wild.
Yeah, it makes you realize we're just at the beginning of something big.
The way technology and money and power are all mixed up.
It's changing everything.
So we need to pay attention, ask questions, and hold people accountable.
Absolutely. The decisions we make now will affect the whole world.
Well said. This has been a really interesting deep dive.
Thanks for having me.
It's been a little unsettling, but it's important to talk about this stuff.
Definitely.
We hope you learned something and that you'll keep thinking about these issues.
Knowledge is power.
And we need all the power we can get to navigate this crazy world.
Couldn't agree more.
Thanks for listening, everyone.